The key to quick data input into QuickBooks that nobody tells us. When learning QuickBooks or taking a general QuickBooks course, we can often be overwhelmed by the amount of information to learn. And we often don't get to see some of the little shortcuts, some of the alternative methods that could be used to make things a bit easier in certain circumstances. And there's a good reason that we don't concentrate on those alternative methods or on shortcuts in a general QuickBooks course. And that's because we need to focus on those types of things that will benefit most people. And the way to do that is that we look at the course in terms of a full accrual accounting cycle, and we look at the full accounting cycle as if it's on an accrual system, meaning we're going to go through the full vendor accounting cycle, the full customer accounting cycle, the employee accounting cycle. That one will apply to the most businesses, and it also kind of shows off everything that QuickBooks can do to see the full accounting cycle. However, it's often the case that some businesses may not be using the full accounting cycle, especially small businesses might be on more of a cash basis system. And therefore, we might have some other ways that we can enter the data rather than using the types of forms we see here on the home page, just entering data in an alternative way, possibly just into the check register. Entering data directly into the check register when applicable is one of the ways that we can save the most time. For example, if we think about the vendor section, the whole vendor cycle, the end of the day at the vendor cycle, we have an expense and we're paying for it typically with cash. We think of normal type of expenses. The customer cycle, at the end of the day, of course, we are hopefully receiving cash, and that's due to revenue generation. Those types of transactions that are dealing with cash can, of course, be entered directly into the check register, which is probably a more simplified way of doing so. Now, note that as we enter things into the check register, or as we look for types of systems that might be a little bit easier in certain circumstances, then there are going to be things that variate from those types of changes. If we're on a more of a cash basis system, what are going to be some problems of being on a cash basis system? When are some times that we're going to have to deviate from the cash basis system and we cannot use a more simplified system, but still have to enter data in some other way? Those are types of things we need to address if we put the data in more of a cash basis format. It just so happens that we do have a course that focuses on more of a cash basis type of business. It is geared towards a business that is a cash basis business, or to bookkeepers that are specializing or have clients that are on more of a cash basis system, in terms of how do we enter that information more on a cash basis, what happens to the creation of the financial statement more on a cash basis, what's the benefit of reconciling, doing a bank reconciliation if we're more on a cash basis? And what are some problems when we're on a cash date basis? Again, when do we have to deviate from a cash basis, and how do we deal with those problems?